continue your study, I hope you will. One of the things that I would recommend that you start with is to memorize the Bill of Rights. Oh man, I got to memorize something again? I feel like I'm in school. Okay, how much is your liberty worth?
Put it on a cassette and listen to it every time you're in the car.
Okay. Crystal has shirts with, the Bill of Rights, and there's all printed upside down. So when you want to find out what one of them is, you just kind of bend over and look at your belly. Oh, there it is.
Marie has one on.
Good morning, everybody.
There it is. We got one right there.
I only got three. I want to read the three.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So, First Amendment says Congress shall make no law. They should have put a period. End of story. Congress shall make no law. I'm happy. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Does it say anything about separation? No. There's nothing in the Constitution that says separation of church and state. That's the wild figment of somebody's imagination. I have no problem with people having the Ten Commandments in school. What bothers me even more is there's a school in Georgia that is prohibiting the display of the Declaration of Independence.
Really?
If you can't have the Declaration of Independence in school, what can you have? Yeah. Or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. These are personal rights. You have freedom of speech only in Scrabble and crossword puzzles? You only have freedom of speech in the things that I agree with? No. If that was the only thing, you wouldn't need freedom of speech, because we agree. You have freedom of speech even when somebody else, oh my gosh, I'm going to toss and turn all night. What you say just drives me crazy. I won't be able to sleep tonight. Too bad. It's a personal problem. That's what freedom of speech is. So, petition the government for a redress of grievances. We can sue the government and presumably win. The government works for us. One of the things that they're doing right now is they're taking a remonstrance to Washington. A remonstrance is a word you don't hear very much anymore, but it is a formal complaint against the government. And in this particular case, it's all about the IRS. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Does it say anything about the National Guard?
No.
No. It said, well, wait a minute. What is that well-regulated militia? Well, today, well-regulated means lots and lots of laws. Back in 1776, well-regulated means well-prepared. You got a pound of powder and 16 balls for your rifle, and you know how to use it. Where do you think the Minutemen came from? You hear the bugle call, you grab your gun and you go. You're ready on a moment's notice. That is well regulated. All this talk about, well, a militia means National Guard. The Bill of Rights was ratified in 1791. The National Guard didn't show up until the early 1900s. You telling me the Founding Fathers were premonition? Most people forget that the United States started when the British tried to take our guns at Concord and Lexington. We said, hell no. Texas started out when the Mexicans wanted their cannon back. What did we say? Come and get it.
Send it back in pieces.
Third Amendment. You probably never hear of the Third Amendment being put to use. It says, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Well, unless they change the way our soldiers fight, you don't have to worry about that. But back then, the army traveled on its stomach. they'd stop in town, stop marching, they'd say, okay, dismissed. And the soldiers would go knock on the door and say, okay, I'm sleeping in your bed, you're sleeping on the floor. Oh, really? Yeah, I got the gun.
This was also for the
So-
English army.
What's that?
Wasn't it also for the English army?
Yeah, well, armies, any army. You know, if you were a civilian, you were basically just,
Prior to the
you know,
Constitution,
stores.
They were coming in.
That's right. So you'd be, you know, overrun by your army and the opposing army. So that probably won't happen anymore. The Fourth Amendment, very important. It protects your privacy. It says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. They have to have a piece of paper. You want to search? A, you have to have probable cause. What makes you think I've got anything? 2, you have to have a warrant. 3, the warrant has to be signed under oath or affirmation. Why? Because if you break down my door and you don't find what you're looking for, somebody lied. Somebody is guilty of perjury. And we go back to the First Amendment, and I'm petitioning the government for a redress of grievances. So we force the government to get an oath. We don't want the government just coming in and go, well, I think we're going to look around, just in case. Can't do that. And if you let them, if they stop you on the side of the highway and say, can I look in your car? And you go, yes, officer. You just gave them permission. No. You want to show me a warrant? Well, we're going to have to keep you here for 3 hours until we get one. Fine. I got nothing to do. Go get a warrant. And when you don't find what you're looking for, be prepared for a lawsuit. You do that 2 or 3 times, and they're not going to check your car anymore.
Is that true even if you have a license? Did you agree to
Yes.
come in any time with the?
Now they're going to argue that if you have a driver's license, that you have given them permission in advance. Okay, by contract. Okay, well, don't show them the license. Or get rid of it.
Isn't that a state's car? Like
Well,
walking in?
if they've got it registered right. Okay? So, basically, you've got to be careful. If you are a United States citizen, you have no rights. You are property. And you've got to do whatever they say. You are subject to the jurisdiction of Congress. So, stop being a United States citizen. Now, that's a completely different class, but we'll get around to it. Fifth Amendment. When everybody says, I plead the Fifth, okay, they're talking about one line in this amendment. You look at that entire paragraph. Is that, I plead the Fifth? No. There's a lot of stuff here. You have a lot of rights. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment by a grand jury. Only people on the grand jury can indict you. The government can't come along and throw you in jail for anything you want. You have to have other Texans who said, yeah, that sounds pretty bad. Except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. So do soldiers and sailors have a right to all this other stuff? No. If you're a soldier or a sailor, you don't have a right to a trial. You go to a court-martial, which is completely different. You have no rights. If you're in the militia, when in actual service, you're acting as a soldier. So you get court-martialed too. Now, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. They can't hold you on the same thing. They accuse you of murder, they accuse you of killing John, and